Guess what, everybody? It's a Friday night recap, even though it's very early in the morning on Saturday, November 12th. We're going to talk about hockey. We're going to talk about NBA. And then we're going to have a long talk about college basketball and all the work I did in the college basketball file. Why are we doing all this? Because I didn't do what I said I was going to do, which is learn more about the human cell. I know I have other projects I'd like to be doing. I did one thing. I remembered that there's mitochondrial DNA that comes from your mother, that's in the mitochondria that only comes from your mother, and in that gene or that half of chromosomes. We got to add chromosomes, don't we? Sort of. That's how these things get created. No, they're all in the nucleus. Oh, there's so much to do. I am going to do this. Here's what I thought. I was like, well, I didn't get any of this work done well. How am I going to make sure I get some work done on this tomorrow, being today, Saturday? And the answer is, well, I got to clear out my entire day early. And there's a good thing that all the games start for college basketball at 11 a.m. So I'm going to do all three of these: NHL, NBA, and college basketball, all before 11 a.m. for tomorrow. But right around 11 a.m. is when it's going to get done. And then I am off to not really follow it throughout the day. There won't be updates until the end of the night. So you got to break from this once in a while. It's a lot of stuff going on. But let's talk about what happened today. Hockey, lackluster day, not good. Upsets everywhere. San Jose wins. We don't have it. Kraken lose. That's a big loss. Pittsburgh does win. So I play that. They win. The Caps win. I bet them, even though the algorithm said don't. And they won. Hockey's like that. How about basketball? Also lackluster day. Cleveland blows the lead and loses this game to Golden State. Bummer. That was a big pivotal game. Sacramento does come back and win, but Phoenix loses. A real choppy day. Knicks win. Grizzlies win. Bucks were injured and I guess lost here, so that was kind of predictable. Celtics win. And the Raptors lose this injured to the Thunder. This kind of makes sense. You would have probably taken the Thunder +5 given this prediction here, and they end up winning the game outright. So that's okay, even though it's lackluster, but there you go. Now let's talk about college basketball, which went 60-12 today, 40-32 on the spread. Let's look at the college basketball file and show you some really cool things you can do with the NCAA men's basketball algorithm here. So we can look at things in a lot of different ways. Top down by margin means the team we thought had the most chance to win over the team that was going to beat the most shows up in this order. You hit the top 9 of those, then Vanderbilt loses to Mississippi, Southern Miss. Then you win another 9 of them. Then you lose with Colorado to Graham. These are all awful, awful, unbettable lines that where you get paid absolutely nothing. So it only pays to take the underdog once in a while. If 1 out of every 10 of these is an underdog that wins, you get paid amazing right here. Like Southern Miss was probably plus 1,500 or something. Then there's what else? There's I don't know what happened here in this Colorado Grambling game. You go into Grambling. Here's the thing. This is at least an away team. All right. Then you've got Villanova. This was a bummer. Losing on the road to Temple. Tried to come back, but they couldn't do it. Another road team. Oregon gets blown out, I believe, by Irvine. That was weird because they were at home. So that's something to watch. Oakland loses. Bowling Green State can be good. Then you start getting down to more reasonable margins here. Then you have a nice string of wins here. 9 in a row here. Lose Mount St. Mary's, lose Fresno State away. Harvard, oh yes, some of these games were not actual true home games. Some of them were played, like this game was in Asheville, North Carolina. So tomorrow I'm going to be identifying neutral site games. And when I identify those, what there is there's a slicer in here in the Excel file where you can click, yeah, the Asheville game was the Harvard game. Once I label all of them, I'll have this working so that they're not actually a home team. Speaking of home teams, how did just our home teams do today? 54-5. And we know Harvard wasn't actually home. And I wonder if anybody else wasn't actually home. I think this one wasn't actually home either. The Alabama Birmingham. I think this game was in Philadelphia. In which case, 2 of these that weren't true home games losing, it's just Oakland, which also may not have been, I don't even know, and this Oregon game. I mean, that's unbelievable, right? Oh, sorry. And up here, Vanderbilt. I don't know if that was a home true game or not. Anyway, away teams, though, didn't really happen today, only 6 and 7. So we'll watch that and we'll see, when you see this, you're like, well, would another home bump have made things a lot better? And the answer is kind of, yeah, because you could take the home bump all the way up to infinity, actually. Watch this. So the result is 60 and 12. If you change the home bump to 50%, where all the home teams are going to be favored, you go 61 and 11. If you just bet every home team, funny. Oh no, actually that's not right. Some of these you want to trim a few of these off, actually. I think you'd want to get it down to about, what is this? About 12%. You want to get rid of these two losses, go up another 2%, 14.2%. No, then you have more home losers. Yeah, it's so really, that's why I say messing around with the bump is a lot of weird stuff you can do here to try to get it. But I'm happy with the 5% bump because Harvard wasn't actually home. So that screws up this calculation here. Anyway, pretty darn good day. What about our underdog picks? They go 6 and 2. How about that? Fullerton does beat Pepperdine against my instincts, of course. Harvard wasn't even really at home, right? So, and Southern Methodist, this sucked because the guy fouled when they were down 11 points. He didn't have to. They didn't have to foul it, and they did, and that cost them the spread here of the 11 and a half. That sucked. But they also fought back and they got close in the second half. So this was a fun game to watch. I did watch it just to see what would happen there. But they're an away team, and away teams. I mean, Dayton definitely had fans there. Like there were people cheering. They like their Dayton Flyers. So all right. So underdogs are good. If you look at this by money line descending, which is the other way you can just start to pick off teams to bet, you do win 5 of the top 6, but it's not a great day, as you can see. And it's because of the away teams. What if you just do home teams at best lines? Wow, that's pretty good. And who could have caught that New Hampshire game early in the day? 8 of the top 9. 12 of the top 14, all the way down to minus 275. If you bet everything under minus 300, there were 15 games and you got 12 of them right. I mean, it's putting those on round robins in order. That's why I'm saying never bet an away team. If you've watched the beginning videos about college basketball this year, I said the pick of the day can never, ever be an away team. What did I do? I put Southern Methodist on everything. But you have to bet home teams, and this is why. It's just such a different look at your wins and losses because home teams just win more. So another thing I did, oh my goodness, I've already mentioned it. So I did the update to make this thing look at past year or current year stats. I had to do some massaging because some of the teams hadn't played it all yet. Stats are all crazy. It makes a much worse day right now, 44 and 28. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But what you can do with this, if you pay for the big subscription and get the emails from me every day with this file, is you can mess around with the percentages and get rid of some of the really distorted stats and just go with something like points per game, wins and losses, margin of victory, and forget about any of the other stuff at all. Gives you 80%. Let's go 45, whatever. Makes it 47. Yeah, there's a lot of messing around you can now do with this to change stuff around, but eventually there's not enough stats. Some of the teams hadn't even played games yet, like Drexel, Dixie State stuff. There were schools that hadn't even played yet, so I put in last year's stats. So it's of course not perfect, but it is doing some interesting things already. And this version does hit the top 13 games, actually, ironically. So this will be fun to watch. And this is something you'll be able to toggle with when you have the Excel file. You just choose the year and then refresh the pivot table. And everything changes. It's pretty awesome. And it will update daily as it updates everything. So this is getting fun. 83% win percentage and 40 and 32 on the spread. This is an accurate spread calculation based on our actual point projections. It's color coded over here. So it tells you which games we won the spread on. Oh, another one thing I wanted to do before we ended this video. So this is an interesting way to look at it, meaning like, did the teams at the top cover the spread? but it can be deceiving because the spread is unbelievable. It's 30, 25, 27. It's an amazing number of points. So, I mean, if a team wins by that much or not is totally a coin flip, I feel like. So it's a tough bet to make those bets. But we have something called a spread cover number that's supposed to determine, exactly how much we think they're going to clear the spread by based on our point projections. Let's sort by that. Descending by spread cover plus. And see if we're hitting those games over here. Because that's the good way to do this, is it's not this one right here. It's this one over here. You hit 2 of the top 3, 3 of the top 5. You're hitting 2, losing 1, hitting 3, losing 2. You're averaging about 2 to 1. So you're getting about 2/3 of them, it seems like. And another thing I like to do here is I like to say, well, remember how I said I don't want to bet those ones where it's minus a ton of points? You can filter this and say that you want a spread, a value filter on the spread that is greater than, I want to do a different filter, a different spot. A spread that is greater than, let's say, negative 4. Greater than -5. I'll take anybody under 5 points, maybe, if it's got a good spread cover. Wow. Yup. You look at that. Wow. Love it. So that hits 9 of the top 10 on the spread, folks. And not all of those games win, but you can see like Princeton covers the spread. They came back and managed to cover a 1.5 spread, I think. It's a close one. And they lose down here. What's going on down here? This is the order of the spread cover plus. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That is good. That's good. You only lose Southern Methodist, and that was because the guy fouled at the end. Wow. Oh, man. That's incredible. You could have hit the top 10 here. Wow. All right. So if you want me to refresh, so you don't have to rewind and see what I did there, right? So basically, I'm looking at everything by spread cover plus. So the ones we think are going to win the most. And the way I'm getting some of the no's out of here is I'm saying, well, I don't want to bet games where a team is minus, where's the spread that's terrible? Like a team that's minus 20. I'm not going to bet Auburn because 20 is ridiculous. And they only won by 8. Exactly. It's still won by 8 points, but you don't win. And you can't make bets like that. So I would avoid them. So I'm now saying I'm going to filter by a spread of a certain number. Actually, watch this. Let's make it even easier to do. We're going to insert a slicer for spread. And they're all going to come up in order. Right? And when we do this, we're then going to edit this slicer and make it really big to show all these different spreads in our face. Perfect. And when we do that, what we get is a range we can highlight quickly with the mouse to see how this is doing, right? So remember I said I refuse to take anybody who's like minus 30, minus 28. These are all the terrible ones. And I said, all right, I'll start taking some where the spread is 4.5 or better. And that's where we end up going 10-5 on the spread, and we win a lot at the top. And what we're losing at the bottom is related to a spread cover number. So if we take we create another slicer for spread cover plus, which is where? Can I do that? I might not be able to because spread cover plus is a calculated field. And I don't think sometimes they don't let you create slicers on stuff I created, which is what that is. So maybe I can't do that. But I mean, another thing we could do is we could look at margin, and we could have a filter on margin for spread also, because that would eliminate some of these lower games. But it's pretty awesome anyway, because top down it makes sense, because what we're doing is we're saying where the spread cover plus was like 5 or greater, that's where it goes. That's where it goes like a 10-2 right there. With these games, Fullerton, Methodist, Hampshire, and Methodist almost covered there. They really, really, really came close to covering there. So amazing. This is amazing. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'll keep banging it out, and I'll get this up at 11. I'll do just the past year version for everybody. Current year is just going out to people to pay for this and subscribe to the college basketball algorithm. It's going to do crazy, crazy stuff. It's not going to work right away, but as soon as they get like 3 games or plus something in there, you can start messing around with this. Because right now, strength of schedule numbers or SOS or whatever numbers are just ridiculous. Like a -64 is insane. Like that's not normal. You can see that when you look at last year's stats, that there's no numbers like that when it comes to SOS numbers and stuff. We go back and we look. See how all the SOS numbers are in a range. Nothing's -60. There's like a -3. So this has got to fix itself. And it takes a few games for it to fix itself. Otherwise, it's kind of useless. But it's nice to have already built in the capability so that we can start messing around with it, and certainly not weight any of these ratings and just do something like points and wins, like I was saying. And because the strength of schedule number is also added. That's the number that's crazy. Because somebody's played like just a terrible team or 2 terrible teams, and other teams have played only good teams, and that's why everything's all screwed up. And it takes a while for that to fix itself. So we will limit the effect of that stat as we go. But anyway, amazing stuff, guys. I hope all your picks won today. I know not all of them did, but and there was a lot of losers I had on my college basketball picks. Why is that? Because I bet away teams. I mean, this is how you know. I'll talk about the Harvard thing. So I bet Methodist, who loses, Princeton to win, they lost. Villanova, they lost. West Virginia won. I didn't bet this game. Oh, it's -556. I bet West Virginia, they did win. I bet Mount St. Mary's, they lost. I bet Delaware, they lost. I bet Fresno State, they lost. I didn't bet any of these games. Hilarious, because the lines were terrible. So in an away situation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my 7 picks lost. And that's why I didn't have a good day. What were my home picks? Well, I had Harvard on 2 tickets by accident because of my luck, and they weren't even actually a home team. Where is that Harvard game? Harvard, where are you? You're in Boston. Where are you? Harvard, where is it? Oh, it's all the way up here. Wow. Oh, because we're at a different sort. Hold on, let's resort for a second. Sending my margin. Harvard now down here where they're supposed to be, right? I'm just going to search. Yeah, way down there, exactly. So I had them on 2 tickets by accident, and of course they lost. Look at all the home teams. What else did I take? I took Hofstra. Yeah, they won. Couldn't bet those other games because I was in Virginia. I took South Carolina. I did take them over Clemson, and they won at an underdog line. I took Drexel, and they won. I took Alabama and Birmingham. They lost, but I think this was not a true home game. I took Yale, and they won. I took Wisconsin, and they won. And I took them to cover, and they covered. I took Fullerton over Pepperdine against my own advice. They won. And I took Wake Forest, and they won. I think that was all the ones because these lines were terrible. So my home games, I only lost like 2 of them. Harvard by accident twice, and the other one that's probably not even a true home game, I think. Right? That's what I'm saying. So lessons learned for the next day of this is on Saturday when I do a video about all the picks, which I will do probably around noon or something. I'll get it going. I'll be doing round robins, and I'm making it a point to not touch an away team. I don't care what the line is. I refuse to bet any away team because I know that in round robins, you get punished so exponentially with every loss that you can't risk it on an away team. So tomorrow and every day going forward, we only bet on home teams. You'll see the lines become impossible on home teams, unfortunately. But that's all you should be betting in a round robin and parlay situation because they win almost every time. As you can see, you do better than the algorithm today if you take the home team every single game. You go 61-11. What about the lines on those? Let's see what happens there. Okay, let's take a look at the lines for a second. I know we're not stopping. Look at this. St. Joe's at 1,500 beats Houston. Did I type that in right? Wait a minute. Let me search. Google, hold on a second. St. Joe's versus Houston college basketball score.
They lost 81-55 yesterday.
No, Houston. Oh, they lost. Yeah, what am I talking about? These are home teams that lost. Sorry, there's a 900 that won, which is Grambling, right? So here you go. Like, look down the list, see what you would have won. You win a 240 at New Hampshire, which the algorithm had anyway, but you don't get Grambling because for some reason we couldn't predict Grambling. Does it predict Grambling in the current year? Let's find out. And we're going to take the home bump away for a second. 5%. Back to that. Where's Grambling? It does favor them. And how about that? That's funny. This is before the game happened today. So this is with current season stats. Whoops. Whoa. And it has whoa. How does it have both these teams? Oh my goodness. Okay, this is worth looking at then. If you see what happened here, when you sorted by what did the current year version favor with a 5% bump, it has a bunch of these other ones that lost though, so don't think they're all big winners because it had a bunch of crazy ones, had a bunch of dogs. That's why I told you there's so much value in running this and looking at it every day because it does hit these three and New Hampshire. So you'll see where ones are consistent over both versions, like New Hampshire was consistent over both versions. Hostressant has all these. Huh. All right. Exciting times, everybody. Good luck, everyone. All your picks be winning.